there would be times where I'm sitting with a student and I'm supposed to be engaging in a spiritual conversation, and all I can think about is, man, I don't want to live anymore. I don't want to be here.
Hey there, my name is Sean, and this is Suicide Noted. On this podcast, I talk with suicide attempt survivors and ideators so that we can hear their stories. Every year around the world, millions of people try to take their own lives, and we almost never talk about it. We certainly don't talk about it nearly enough, and when we do talk about it, when we engage with people in pain, most of us are not very good at it. In fact, let's be honest, most of us suck at it. So one of my goals with this podcast, now going for almost 6 years, is to have more conversations and hopefully better conversations with survivors, in large part to help more people in more places hopefully feel a little less shitty and a little less alone. Now, if you are a suicide attempt survivor or ideator and you'd like to talk, please reach out. I'd love to talk with you. hello@suicidenoted.com. It's that simple. You can check the show notes or the podcast description or our website to learn more about this podcast, including how you can make a tax-deductible donation, our membership, volunteering, among other things. If all you do is listen, that is more than enough. I really appreciate it. Finally, we are talking about suicide on this podcast. My guests and I do not hold back, so please take that into account before you listen or as you listen. But I do hope you listen because there is so much to learn. Today, I am talking with Marlise. Marlise lives in South Africa, and she is a suicide attempt survivor. Marlise, you're muted. Can't do a podcast if you're muted. It sucks. It's the worst podcast.
Yeah, that would be a pretty sucky podcast.
For sure. Where are you located? Where do you live?
In South Africa.
South Africa. I've had a handful of conversations with people. You may know that. And I know you know that because even though I don't tend to like pour over the emails that people send me, because sometimes they'll send me like a whole life story and I'm like, well, we're just going to talk about this on the podcast anyway. So tell me if I'm right here. You started listening to this podcast last June or this June?
Last June. So 2024 June. Yeah, okay, June 2024.
So in a year and a half, and you made a promise to yourself or some kind of, you said, perhaps like some other guests, if I make it to the end, like that was an interesting goal, right? Like if I make it to the end, then I'll reach out.
Because I didn't think I was going to make it because I hardly commit to something that much in terms of like series or podcasts or anything like that. Like I was expecting I was going to get bored with it.
I mean, all right. Now I'm not saying this for an ego reason. I genuinely want to know what has been not boring about more than 300 podcasts for you that you actually made it to the end.
Wow, I didn't think about the number.
Yeah, I know. Believe me, it's taken a long time to put together. I have thought about the fucking number. I used to be when this thing started. I was 22 years old. I had a full head of hair. I was almost like a supermodel. Now look at me. I'm over 50. I'm bald. I'm crinkly. I'm crusty. What was it? Give me one thing that made it not boring. It helps me.
I think the variety of people that, like guests that you have on the podcast, and it's similar stories in the sense that most people either have had a suicide attempt or like are chronic ideators. So there's like a golden thread, obviously. I mean, it's the theme of the podcast. Mm-hmm. But despite it there being that golden thread, it never got monotonous. It never got, oh yeah, I know he's going to ask this question now, and then he's going to ask this question, and then.
I'm gonna give myself a little credit there. Now, by the way, let me say this: thanks for reaching out and thanks for talking with me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
You said you're in South Africa. Are you what? You want to identify what city or what region?
Yeah, I'm in Cape Town, Southern Point.
Pretty place.
Yeah, no, it is beautiful. I'm very lucky to live here. Although, yeah, I'm from Pretoria originally, so further up north.
What are you doing in Cape Town?
I'm working as a mechanical engineer. The company I work for designs and builds UAVs.
What does that mean?
We design unmanned aerial vehicles. So it's like a drone shaped like an airplane, like massive.
The things that are going to ultimately destroy civilization is what you're saying.
Well, if you want to put it that way.
Right. I guess that's one, but it could do good things too. I'm sure. I'm sure that's not on the company literature.
Yeah, so the one application for UAVs, the size that we build, is tracking rhinos to help with rhino poaching.
Now
Yeah,
that's very cool. That's really cool.
yeah. So that's one thing that I always hold on to, like whenever someone's like, "Oh, but it has weapons." Like, yes, but it also helps the rhinos.
It also helps the rhinos. Yeah, I mean, I know this is getting started real early and it has probably nothing to do with your life, but if the word rhinos isn't in your memoir title or subtitle somewhere, come on. You're drinking out of a mug. I see an animal on it. You're all about the animals.
There's a little rhino in there.
Yeah, yeah, rhino. I love it. Rhino, a giraffe. Okay. We're checking all the boxes here. So I'm in Mexico City, Mexico. You're in Cape Town, South Africa. I will tell you a couple of other things, and then we're going to get into the other stuff, which is probably why you chose to talk with me, which again, I appreciate. You got to be careful about the goddamn hippos.
Yes. Oh my
They-
word! People always scared of the lion, the lions, the lions. No, the hippos. The
Yeah.
hippos are scary. They're scary, man. And baboons. Baboons are also. I'm very scared of baboons.
Oh, baboons I hadn't thought about, but the hippos are scary and they look cute, especially the baby. The babies are all babies are cute. That's why they aren't killed because they're cute. Do you know that I just got something? I was on LinkedIn, which I almost never go on. I see someone who tagged me, top 20 suicide podcasts. I'm number one. You know what pisses me off?
Hey.
Oh, no, fuck that. You know what pisses me off? And this is telling about how we talk about suicide. Under suicide is all things related to that. Maybe mention suicide. It's not like just suicide. It could
Yeah,
be
that is frustrating.
lost survivors. It could be like a mental health podcast where they had one guest. Why does that bother me? I'm not sure. Maybe I'm just a cranky middle-aged man. I don't know. Probably that doesn't help.
Well, I think it's when you try to rank things, then it's like saying the best fruit and then you're talking about
Right.
cucumbers. Chicken is the best fruit. Like,
No,
no, just because you
chickens with
put it
chicken.
in a fruit salad for some stupid
Let's
reason
just,
doesn't make it
basically
a fruit.
Marlise is saying that suicide podcast is in a category of one.
Yes.
I mean, how many other
Most.
podcasts on suicide have you listened to more than 300 episodes of?
Can count on one hand and that would be zero.
Exactly. So that's a great starting point. You wrote in your email, I don't usually do this. I don't usually reference back to the email, but because it was short and easy and quick, which I appreciate. You wrote, you had a series of, you're a chronic, I don't know if you use the word chronic, an ideator.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the word that stuck out to me, because people have brought this kind of thing up. They've used different words, but the same idea of a half-assed, quote unquote, half-assed attempt. So let us just dive into the half-assed attempt, and then we'll bing bong around like a pachinko machine. And in the end, with some magic of editing, this baby will be beautiful. First, what makes an attempt half-assed, according to you?
So basically, I had a session with I had made the plan and I was like certain I was going to go through with it. And then I had a session with my sports psychologist. Then at the end, so we had been doing like kind of a combination of like sport therapy and normal therapy. So kind of working on the sport mental side, but also working on like struggling with depression and that sort of thing. She made a comment of like, yeah, maybe we should revisit the topic of meds just because you're doing so well. I was like, well, it's funny you mentioned that because I actually have a plan, not thinking that she was going to be able to stop me. Yeah,
You sort of blurted that out. Is that in part because you were a little naive on how the world works?
very much so.
Yeah. Now you've learned, haven't you? So you say it because you're an honest human being looking for help from your therapist. And what happens?
She gets real serious, which she doesn't like. I mean, she gets serious, but she got real serious. And she kind of put down her notebook and pen and she's like, I don't think you're in a point where you can take responsibility for your safety anymore. And I think someone else needs to take that responsibility now. So I was actually in the US at that time. I was studying at University of Massachusetts.
Amherst?
Yeah.
Do you know why that pisses me off?
No.
I'm about to tell you why it pisses me off. Because UMass Amherst didn't let me into that school. They rejected me.
Yeah, I can understand why you'd be pissed. It's a pretty cool
Yeah.
school.
I mean, it's been 30 years, but still. You're studying your fancy engineering stuff.
Yeah.
Super smarter people than Sean go there. So you're studying at Amherst. When was this?
So this happened in 2022 in March.
And your American therapist
Yeah.
When she hears that you have a plan, she's probably surprised because she was just saying how you were doing well. Were you just hiding it so well or presenting so well, or is she just not very good at her job? What do you think was happening?
So basically that was on a Wednesday, and the Tuesday and the Wednesday I was feeling great. Like, and
Mhm.
I think it is that thing of I had made peace of, hey, this is going to be my last week. I can enjoy it. It's going to be epic because I don't have to regret anything that I'm doing right now. And I can go to class because I enjoy it. I can go learn because it's fun, not because I have to worry about some midterm coming up or like some project that I have to do because it's not my worry anymore. I genuinely was doing well those days. Obviously, you start off the session with like, "Hey, how are you?" You know, the classic, very, I don't know if I can ask you how you're doing because you're just going to tell me good because you're my therapist and you can't actually say anything else.
Now, I'm a visual guy. At this point, she's got the notebook and the pen in her hand.
Yeah. And then I tell her, and then she just pauses and then just slowly puts it down to the side.
So some people are going to get upset with me because they think I'm like making a satire or a mock, but this matters. So because I think in my movie of your life, and I know you're thinking, wait, I thought you were the memoir guy. Well, things change. I'm both. I could be both.
Movies, memoirs.
Movies, memoirs, things that start with M. Oh, Marlise. M. The moment in which things slow down, the notebook and the pen go to the side slowly. She leans in. All right. I mean, to her credit, you just said something that is pretty big. It's not a small deal. I have a plan means I'm going to think I'm going to try to take my life. Now, let me ask you one question before you get back to, because I keep cutting you off, but I'm going to get back to where you stopped, I
Okay.
promise. It's one of my superpowers. If she doesn't put her book down, if she doesn't say anything, if she just continues that conversation, maybe she asks a little bit about it, maybe she doesn't. Are we having this conversation right now?
Probably not
Yeah.
very certain I was going to do it.
How many days out?
4 days out.
It would have been a Sunday. And what was your method?
I was gonna hang myself. There was this like hilltop with this tree and a swing, just the most beautiful sunsets that are there. I had coaching earlier that day, so I play field hockey and I enjoy coaching as well. That's how I went to the US. I was on a field hockey scholarship.
Is South Africa a good field hockey team?
We used to be much better than what we are now, but we definitely are on the climb. I just actually had a series against Canada.
Are you on the national team?
Yeah, I am.
Wait, hang on. I don't, these things don't impress me. However, I don't care. You could be Oprah Winfrey here, but I don't know why I chose Oprah. I was just thinking of someone really famous. I mean, you don't look anything like Oprah Winfrey. If people want a visual, are you like going to the Olympics?
So I was the reserve for the Tokyo Olympics. And so basically it meant that I went, but I never played. So I was like kind of stuck in a hotel. Simone Biles was in the same hotel though. So that's my kind of claim to fame there.
Oh, Simone
Um,
Biles. By the way, usually Marlise, I only speak with starters.
sorry.
Reserves, well, I'll make an exception because you seem very kind and sweet and you like animals. So just to be clear, Marlise the engineer is working on drone-like projects to save the rhinos. Goes to the US a few years ago to study and play field hockey because she's an exceptionally gifted field hockey player representing her country. I haven't yet asked you if you're going to the next Olympics. For some reason, I think you're done, but I'm not sure.
No, I'm not done. So we have World Cup this year.
Hmm.
So that's my next big goal. And then the 2028 Olympics is the next one
Where's that?
in Los Angeles.
Oh, it's in my country.
Yeah.
I'm basically Mexican now, though, so I don't identify. Holy moly. Okay, that's why you were talking about therapy and sports stuff when you were talking. Okay. Now, doesn't this speak to, and I'm sure this has been brought up, I don't know how public you are. This will be part of the conversation. And then we're going to get back to that moment with the therapist. Doesn't it speak to, but Marlise, I don't understand. You're clearly so intelligent. You're a gifted athlete. You've got so much going for you. I don't understand. Have you heard any iteration of that come out towards in your direction?
I've had one person do something in that way, like in that line of thought. She was kind of like, but you've got all these things, like you've got a family that loves you, amazing possibilities before you, like why would you even feel that way? But for the most part, the people that I have spoken to, and I'm not super open about it. There's like a select few people that know, well, like that know about my struggle with depression, and they have all been like supportive there if I needed to talk to anybody.
Was Simone Biles when she didn't do the Olympics? Was that Tokyo?
Yeah, that was Tokyo.
Were you struggling then?
Very much so. I was isolated in a little room with the men's goalkeeper next door, who I don't know very well, watching my friends play, living out my dream. It was hard. Like on top of everything else, it was hard.
Yeah, and I'm only bringing this up because she's just such a well-known name. Again, I really
Oh
don't.
yeah,
I don't give a shit about famous people, but that sounded mean, but I just don't. But the fact that she, for mental health reasons, publicly stated, I believe at the time, perhaps after, did that resonate at all with you? Or because for you it was weird because you wanted to play. She stopped competing because of her health.
I mean, I had great respect for her for doing something like that because I don't think being a public figure like that, you're under scrutiny. And we know the world we live in, it's not kind towards mental health issues. So for her to do that, I have great respect for her for doing it.
Right.
And yeah, like a part of me felt seen, like, okay, top performers, I know it happened, but to have someone be so open about it, it helped. Like it was like, okay, I can make it through.
Yeah, I think it's a lot harder than people might imagine for someone that well known with so much
Mm.
expectation. Field hockey, wow. If your therapist doesn't put her pad down in slow motion and lean forward in slow motion, this is my movie. After you said that you have a plan, which was going to be Sunday at a tree, looking at a beautiful sunset with presumably a rope or something like a rope, which was your quote unquote half-assed attempt. We're not having this conversation and field hockey doesn't exist for you anymore, probably. We don't know what would happen because not all attempts are successful or completed. Some people don't like that word successful. I don't give a shit. It's a word. What happens after she says that you are no longer in a position, and this is in Massachusetts, by the way, for those people that are wondering. I don't think what was the words? I don't think you're in a position to take care of yourself or something like this, some iteration of that.
Yeah, you're not in a position to be responsible for your own safety.
Do you think she was right?
Yeah, she was. If you look at it from the point of preserving life, then yeah, she was right because
Mhm.
I wasn't keen to continue on life. So in that sense, yeah, she was right. I don't know, maybe something would have changed between Wednesday and Sunday, and I would have been
Yeah.
like, wait, this was a huge mistake. I can't go through with this. But the way I
That's
was feeling
mm.
from that previous Sunday to that day, it was so certain that that was going to happen.
Did you tell anyone other than your therapist?
Not in that time. So because I was an international student, our coach was kind of our like surrogate parent.
Mhm.
Like I had my university coach was amazing. She has done so much for me and I'm really grateful for her. And so my therapist then said I need to wait in her office. She's gonna go talk to my coach. Basically, I just asked them like, just don't like tell her there's a concern for my safety, but don't tell her that I have an actual plan. And so she went up and told her. They came down, went to the hospital eventually.
You went to a hospital in Boston?
No, it was Holyoke.
It's a beautiful part of the country, I think.
Yeah, no, it's really amazing. The Northeast is stunning. Like autumns in the
Yeah,
Northeast is
I know.
wow.
I know. I was up there in October for the tour. If you've heard to every podcast, you know I had a tour. And I was up there in early October.
Yes, I do. I do.
I was in Gardner, which you probably don't know, but it's probably about, I don't know, less than an hour east of where you studied and where you almost killed yourself. Tell me about
Crazy.
the stay in the hospital. How long were you there for? What was it like?
So I was there for a week, and it was actually pretty decent. Like I know a lot of people have had very negative experiences in the hospital, but not I think, it genuinely helped me a lot. Like the people they were, I felt like they did care, and like a lot of your other listeners, like I made friends with the other patients, and the food was pretty decent actually. Like it was healthy, and
The food's always good.
yeah,
That's how they keep you there. That's the
that
trick.
and the yogurt cups in the fridge.
So good. No, and it should be said. Yes, I do rip on hospitals, and there are often bad experiences. But I'm glad to hear that it was good, that you got that some help. I don't think magically after a week you're better or like ready to take on life. Or am I wrong?
No, I told them that, and I was honest about it. Like I'm not fully out of the woods, but I'm now at a point where if it if I go back down to that space, I'm in a space where I could ask for help.
Okay.
Whereas at the start of the week, it was like, no, I want to leave and I want to go through with it. Like, can you let me go?
Why did you tell your therapist you had a plan, or that just kind of blurred out of your mouth? Or was that a little, perhaps less than conscious way of asking for help?
I think it was a combination of both. I don't always think before I speak. Um,
Oh, preaching to choir. Talk to me. Talk to me.
I'd been working with her at that point since 2020. Yeah, so we'd been working together for a long time, and like I had a good trust relationship with her. I mean, still do, but I don't know. I don't think I expected her to do anything about it. Like I just kind of thought, hey, cheers. Like,
Yeah.
thanks for all your help. I'm out. Probably not gonna see you again, type thing.
Right. Yeah. Well, so had you had an experience like that at all in South Africa, and the treatment is different there?
So I've never been to the hospital here. I do see a therapist here, but yeah, I haven't gotten to a point where, well, okay, depends on who you ask that I had a plan or not. Um, I don't think I did. Basically, what happened was I was in a dark place, typical, and I'd started researching on, okay, these are the pills that I have. What are the possible outcomes of a failed attempt? And am I willing to
Mm.
live with those consequences? That came out. I told my therapist about that about 4 weeks after the fact, so she couldn't do anything about it.
Is this the one in America, or
Um,
the one in South Africa?
this is the one in South Africa.
Is this after Massachusetts or before?
After that
Okay.
was last year, actually.
Okay. So just for a timeline, getting to how old are you right now?
28.
28. Okay. So Massachusetts, so you're mid-20s. You started seeing it in 2020, so you're in your early-ish 20s. You said you had a good, I'm paraphrasing, family,
Yeah,
solid family, like up until that point, and we'll use 2020 as that point, which just happens to be COVID. 2020, man. I know that you're a very successful athlete. That doesn't mean that you're not suicidal. It doesn't mean you don't ideate, but it does mean you have certain abilities, cognitive skills, athletic skills, other things that, like, you're not bedridden all the time, or you're not making the national team.
yeah,
So
yeah.
when you're growing up, and this is a summary type of bullet version type of thing I'm going to ask you to do. When you're growing up in Pretoria, how's life?
Life's good in the sense of external. Did really well academically. Like I was on the top of my class in primary school and also in high school. Good family life, excelling in all sorts of sports. So yeah, externally really good. Internally, not so much. There'd be phases where, like periods where I'd be suicidal. Like I didn't know back then that it was depression. But I would go through periods where I'm just like, I can't describe how I'm feeling. So whenever someone asks me, I'm just like, I'm tired because I
Yeah,
was tired. But that
that's how you would
was,
describe it. I'm tired.
yeah, it's like scratching the surface of what it actually is.
Right, and
Um,
if I'm listening to, let's say, 16-year-old Marlise, and she says she's tired, I'm like, yeah, you're a straight A student and you're playing a few sports. Of course you're tired.
yeah, yeah, exactly. My mom got concerned at a stage of like, but why are you so tired the whole time? Because even when you rest, you're tired. So she took me to like some specialist doctor or something. And it turns out my blood pressure is super low. So they just like put it to that, like, oh yeah, her blood pressure is low. That's why she's tired all the time. I'm like, yeah, but
Yes,
that's the
and
full story.
right. So how do we
Yeah,
get?
yeah.
Does the full story ever come out, or do you have to end up in a hospital in Holyoke, Massachusetts, for the full story to come out?
I heard it, Massachusetts for the full story.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Life has to happen.
Yeah,
I think that's common. I mean, we're limited by words. I mean, you can only express how you feel, even if you want to, even if people want to truly understand. It's limiting. You can't trade lives with people. Before you went to the States, did you go to any sort of mental health professional?
no, none whatsoever.
No meds.
Mm-mm.
It's hard to get meds if you don't go to a professional unless you're stealing them. I'm pretty sure Olympic level field hockey players, for some reason, and I might be wrong, they don't steal medicine. I don't know why I say that.
Mm.
I just put between that and saving the rhinos, you just don't seem like the type to go out to like the gray market to get some sort of anti-depression medication.
No, not typically. It's not
Um,
where I find myself on a day to day.
in your experience, and it's only yours, comparing South Africa, which is a huge country, and the United States, which is also a large country, is it more widely spoken there or here? General mental health challenges.
Definitely more in the US. South Africa would like to think that we are progressive and look, it's improved a lot over the past few years, but especially in the Afrikaans community, it's very much like you just push through, you bulldoze through, you don't really acknowledge things like that. Yeah.
Afrikaans, and now it's connecting back to the Dutch, which I hadn't even thought about that. So you're Dutch.
Yeah, I'm a mixed breed.
So do they give you a diagnosis? Does that therapist, the one who goes in slow motion, or the hospital or the aftercare, do you get a diagnosis?
So the therapist initially diagnosed me with depression, like a couple months before that. I'll say a couple months, probably like 6 months before that. Then at the hospital, the psychiatrist, he does the interview and he asks me to describe certain things. And then he's like, I think you're bipolar. I'm like,
Mhm.
no, I'm not.
I
There's
knew,
no way.
I knew it was going to start with a B. I just didn't know which one.
He then brought out the not a physical copy of the DSM-5, but put it up on his phone or something and went through the list and was like, have you experienced this? I'm like, yes, but have you experienced this? Yes, but,
But,
and he got, but,
but
and so he was like, we need to start you on meds. I'm like, nope, I'm not doing it.
why
I'm
not?
not starting meds. I'm not
Why not?
bipolar.
As we speak right now, and then we're going to go back, are you bipolar, do you think?
I still don't fully agree with it. There was a stage where I was like, okay, yes, I can see it. But
Mhm.
a few years down the line, I'm like, I don't know if I can see it.
Yeah. Is there, you seem like a pretty insightful, reflective person. Is there any part of that that's like, and this is me, just me thinking, it may be based on nothing, like, no, you don't understand. I'm a really smart person and I'm a world-class athlete. I don't fucking have bipolar.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Is it like that?
Like,
Nah.
I can be very stubborn, and I was stubborn with it. And even when it came to the meds, I put my foot down. I did give in eventually, just purely because of my therapist. She cried. Yeah, we had like a whole conversation, and during this conversation, she started crying.
Slow motion therapist?
Yeah,
She
like my
started
therapist.
crying. Why do you think she was crying?
I think concern for me. We had a really good like professional relationship. Like it wasn't anything weird. Like we shared faith. And she had helped me with like a student ministry on campus. Yeah, just like the road that we'd walked at that point.
Yeah.
So I think it was just like out of concern for me, and that broke me a bit. Like, wow, this lady is so concerned that I'm making her cry. Like,
Right.
maybe I should just give it a shot. Like, it's not going to hurt anyone. I can just go off the meds if I feel like they don't help.
When I make women cry, it's not the same dynamic. It's not. Why do I have to make this about me? Are you a Christian?
Yeah,
So that's when you said you were practicing faith.
yeah,
So when she sent you to the hospital, which it sounds like you went, but maybe you wouldn't have checked yourself in. That wasn't the plan. You went back to her.
yeah, I did.
And that relationship
Yeah,
that was still strong.
yeah, it was. I never resented her for what she did. Like, I wasn't mad at her. I was mad at the fact that I had to go. I was mad that my plans had been derailed. I didn't see her as the criminal in the story.
Yeah.
If anything, I saw myself as the criminal.
I was going to ask,
Um,
who is the criminal?
yeah,
There doesn't have to be a criminal. There does have to be a protagonist in a story, but that's only if you write the memoir. And we haven't even gotten to the title yet, so don't worry about it. This happened in 2022, maybe bipolar. At some point, you do start taking meds.
yeah.
Okay, what happens next?
In June of 2022, I moved back to South Africa because I'd finished my master's, and then moved down to Cape Town in 2023.
And are you taking meds at that point?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm still on the meds. Have felt that they actually do help. Begrudgingly, I admit that.
Isn't that a tough one? Might have actually not been correct. They might
Yeah,
Might have known more than you, maybe.
Shocking, someone who studied something knows more than me in that field.
Right. So you've been on, yeah, right. Like I'm going to tell you how to hit a fucking field hockey ball. So it's been over 3 years. When you talk about the half-ass attempt, is that the tree and the hanging?
Yeah.
Because you mentioned when you came back, and I don't know exactly when this was. There was also something with pills.
Yeah, so that was last year, I think August. So I was also just like in a major depressive episode. Yeah, some things had happened earlier that year. I said like I had car troubles, then on the way to trying to get it fixed, like I was smashed and grabbed, which was quite traumatic. And then literally 3 weeks later, some of my goalkeeper kit got stolen out of the back of my car.
Marlise, I know this is going to sound so weird, but 2 minutes ago, in a random Sean digression, I was going to say I think you're a goalkeeper.
No ways.
I swear to God, and there's a lot of positions on a field hockey team. I was like, she's a goalkeeper.
What gave it
I
away?
know it doesn't. It's just one of my other superpower gifts. Don't ask. I can't explain it.
Wow, that's impressive.
Now people will
Yeah,
they won't believe me because they'll be like, well, it's easy to say that, but no, seriously, I was like, she's a goalkeeper. There's nothing. It's based on nothing. Actually, if there was any reason, I think the most likely position to be put on reserve is a goalkeeper.
that's valid.
Yeah, that was the only deduction. Not that I'm like engineer level thinking in terms of my deducing, connecting, high level, algorithmic, drone like stuff, but ain't bad. So the last 3.5 years, you're bipolar, you're on medication, you've got a job, you live in Cape Town, you're still on the national team, and it sounds
Mhm.
like you still ideate.
Yeah.
When you
Oh,
ideate,
all good.
I want to know how often and as best you can. I know this is hard. The how to articulate. What does it feel like? What is the frequency? What is the like you were saying how to define or talk about depression? And you're like, I'm tired. It's like that barely scratches the surface. What is ideating for you
Mm.
feeling?
I think in terms of feeling, it feels heavy. Big dark monster sitting on your shoulder the whole day that just doesn't relent. When I'm in those phases, it's like that's the whole day. Recently though, so I started the job that I'm at now, I only started in December 2024. The really cool thing about this job, and I don't know why it is, but when I'm at work, I don't have negative self-talk. I don't ideate. I don't like
Mm.
I'm genuinely just so happy at work. Really indescribable. But before that, during the day when I'm working, so at my previous job, I was doing sports ministry before the engineering stuff. There would be times where I'm sitting with a student and I'm supposed to be engaging in a spiritual conversation, and all I can think about is, man, I don't want to live anymore. I don't want to be here.
Did you ever once hint at that truth to the person you were talking to?
No. When you're talking to the student, like they open up to you about like personal things and like I don't want to make it about myself or
Mm-hmm.
make it seem like I'm trying to one up them or anything. So it's kind of like I want them to know that I'm there for them regardless of what's happening in my life because that is the ideal and that was my intention. It didn't always
Yeah.
work out that way because that's an ideal world and we don't live in an ideal world.
If I said to you that I have bipolar and it really sucks, does that feel like I'm one upping you?
No, no, I wouldn't see that as one-upping. I would see that as empathizing.
I mean, there's a fine line, and I'm not saying the right way to do anything, especially when you're working at a campus ministry or whatever it was, where there are rules and
Mm.
expectations and sometimes consequences for mishaps. So yeah, so you were doing that, thinking about suicide. This new job, not as much. What about when you're practicing and or playing field hockey? Because I know that's a big passion.
Yeah, so sometimes like hockey really helps and it's really good for me and it's a distraction and during training and games then I don't feel that way. But there are other times where hockey actually makes it worse because
Oh,
then
really?
I'll concede a goal. I'll go down on the spiral like you're worthless, you're useless. This is why you weren't selected. You can't even save a simple ball. Like you don't deserve anything. Real nice things.
Really, really sweet self-talk for sure. Now, can we both
Yeah.
agree that the size of those pads that the goalkeepers wear in field hockey are enormous?
Yeah.
They're
Feel like a
enormous.
transformer.
Yeah, you look like one. Is there a woman in the world who's the best goalkeeper in the world?
So a couple years ago, I would say Maddie Hinch. She played for GB. She's retired since. I also really liked the way that Rachel Lynch from Australia played. She's also retired after the Olympics. Right now, I would say Anne Veenendaal from the Netherlands, of
Of
course,
course, of course, of course. The Netherlands.
or the New Zealand keeper. I'm also very impressed with. I forget her name.
You're at Olympic level. You're a good goaltender. You're a good goalkeeper. You play on a team that's ranked 20th in the world. So that might put you in the top 100 goalkeepers in the world. Fair?
Yeah, yeah, that's fair.
How much better are those top 2 or 3 goaltenders?
Way better. The biggest difference between me and them at this point would be their ability to read the game
Yeah.
and make small technical saves. I mean, the Dutch grow up playing hockey. They come out of the womb playing hockey.
So unfair. And then like when you're at that level, things slow down, you anticipate easier, you have a sense of the whole feel. It must be nice. Now, the most important thing in this conversation we haven't even gotten to, because there is a moment in June of 2024 where you stumble upon a podcast.
Yeah.
Now we have deduced, because we are deducers, that in that time, post Massachusetts, pre this conversation, you're struggling. You're living, you're doing your thing, you're ideating sometimes. What was happening in June of 2024, if you can recall, that has you look for anything related to suicide online?
It was about 3 weeks after I'd found out that I wasn't selected for the 2024 Olympics.
Uh-huh.
And it felt like my purpose had been taken out of my hands. And because it's something that I've been working towards since like, I don't know, like 15. And then like after narrowly missing out in the Tokyo Olympics, I was like, this is going to be my time. I'm playing some of the best hockey I've ever played. I'm like gelling well with the team. I felt really good about it.
Tokyo was 2020.
2021. Yeah, but it was supposed to be
Because
2020, but then COVID. Yeah.
COVID. So, and you were reserved there, and that was very hard. 2024,
Yeah.
you were not selected. And where was 2024? I forget. Paris?
Yeah, Paris.
But I mean, did you get to go or no?
No, I didn't go. No,
Nothing.
I
Not
also
even.
hardly watched it.
Oh, man. So for people that don't get this, because I don't, your friends are there.
Yeah.
Some of your best friends are there playing the game. 2024 at the time, there's a phone, there's TikTok, there's Instagram, there's shit you can see all over the place all the time.
Yeah.
Can't escape it.
Yep. I escaped it by not going on social media. The hard thing was also part of my portfolio in the sports ministry was doing the social media for
Oh,
the
shit.
ministry.
Also, I feel like in the ministry, there's an expectation of like a certain level of handling things with grace, I imagine. And
There is, but there's also like a lot of room for being human. So I was actually with one of my coworkers when I got the phone call where the coach told me I wasn't going to be that I'm not selected. I was expecting her to do the God has a plan. It's all in his timing. I was expecting her to do that. And she didn't say a single thing like that. She just sat with me, like emphasized, like, it must be really hard. I'm so sorry. Can I help you with anything? Can I do anything for you? She was there for me. She
Uh,
didn't try to make it okay or like, because, and the thing is, like, that stage, like, I know that there's a plan behind it. Like, I know that there's a reason, and yes, it sucks, but so it's like I knew that in the moment, but I didn't need anyone telling me that.
you know that because you have that faith. But quick side note here. This podcast is not about suicide prevention per se. That we don't have to get into all of that, what that word means. But here's Sean's take on if you want to cut 10%. You want to cut 10% of suicides in the world, 10%. You can quote me on this. I'm not going to be around 10%. Do exactly what that woman did for you. Literally just copy the fucking words that you just said. If you're not sure what it means to listen well, copy and paste it, and then shut the fuck up and watch how the numbers go down. That's such
Yeah, no, I fully agree.
oversimplifying things, Sean. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm not oversimplifying things at all. So I'm glad you had her.
Yeah. No, I was grateful for it. When I got the phone call and I realized, oh, I'm getting this phone call and I'm with her right now, I was not keen on talking. She even understood that, like, she didn't force me to talk. Yeah, she was a friend. And when I needed one.
I got this is going to be the toughest question I ask you. Talking about suicide's easy compared to this question. This is going to be the toughest question I'm going to ask you. Part 1 is factual. Part 2 is the hard part. Question 1. At the Paris Olympics, what were the results of the South African women's field hockey team?
We scored our first ever goal against Australia, but did not win a single game.
Now, we don't have to make this public, and I don't know what your answer was. Were you rooting for or against your team?
No, I was definitely rooting for my team.
Don't bullshit me, Marlise.
No, I would have bullshit you. Like I really wanted my friends to succeed. I really wanted them to have a fairy tale ending at the Olympics. Even if I wasn't part of it, I wanted the team to do well.
Yeah.
It hurts. Like it would have hurt having them do well, but at the same time, I knew how much it would mean for my friends who were there. So it hurt supporting them, but I was still rooting for them.
How many goalkeepers do they take on the team?
So one plays and then one sits on the side. And when I say sit on the side, I mean like you're in the stands. You're not even on the bench next to the field. You're in the stands.
That's what you were in Tokyo.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you were not the top two for this.
No.
Do you think you deserve to be one of those top two?
Yes.
How does that sit with you today as we speak?
It still stings. I understand why, like the coach told me why I wasn't selected, but it makes me mad because there's nothing we can do about it. Like it's done. It's in the past.
What about LA? What are the likelihood of you being in LA for the Olympics?
I want to say hi. Yeah, like I'm in good form. I'm playing good hockey.
July 2024, you don't make the team. Not a good month. That's not the same as looking up suicide on Google or Spotify or Apple or YouTube or wherever. So what's going on in your head then?
I was in a dark space. I didn't necessarily want to die by suicide at that stage. Like if a bus was coming at me, I wouldn't have jumped out of the way, if I can put it that way. I was kind of curious, like, I wonder what people actually put in suicide notes. So
the notes.
I actually literally put the words suicide note in Apple Podcasts.
That's more than close enough. You thought this podcast was going to be people reading suicide notes.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. So I got really excited when I saw the name of it. And then I heard the first episode. I'm like, okay, this isn't quite what I expected, but I'm intrigued.
Right.
Binged it all.
You binged it all, meaning because that's a year and a half. So that means you were doing it at like every other day or every third day.
So I was actually driving to this little coastal town over the weekend, and I discovered the podcast 2 days before. And I think I listened to 3 or 4 episodes on the way there and another 3 or 4 on the way back. So I basically had gone, like I'd go through phases where I'd listen to a couple a week and then maybe a week where I don't, a week or two that I don't, and then binge again. And then
once in a while you hear a note, not often, a note. Do you have a note?
No, I never ended up writing one. I had like
you looked online for inspiration on suicide notes. You found the podcast. It's not really about notes. You never wrote a note.
Like I did, but I didn't. I say I didn't because it wasn't at a point where I was like, I want to attempt. It was more so, if I do end up attempting, then there is something. So it wasn't a in the moment note. It was a plan ahead note.
A plan ahead note, right? So those notes, man, those must be tough to figure out.
Which is why I was looking for inspiration.
This is how we stumble, and then here we are. So part one is, okay, you find it, you binge on, binge off. At some point you say, if I make it to the end, I'm gonna email him, and you did, and here we are. I have a couple of questions. Again, this is something we can cut. Like, remember, everything can be edited out. Did you have a favorite episode that stands out?
I think Faith in Honduras.
Oh.
Like her episode was pretty cool. I think I related to her, like, because she was also doing ministry but also struggling at the same time. The most recent one, the one that was released yesterday, Paul in Australia. I quite liked his episode as well.
By the way, everyone out there who's been my guest who isn't named Paul or Faith, you're awesome also. I just wanted to know what Marlise, as I asked her right now on Tuesday, January 13th. It's early afternoon here. It's probably early evening there. I just want to know her opinion. Okay. Now, here's a weirder question. It's a very Sean type question that
I'm here for it.
And because you probably weren't listening for this. So it's almost probably a really hard question to answer. Have I changed?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, there's definitely been progression. I think you end the episodes a lot better than what you used to.
Right. Oh yeah, but at least I was honest about it back then, right?
Yeah, no, for sure.
I
I
don't know
was
how to
like
do this. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. So goodbye. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I always
That's
had a little chuckle because like obviously like I'd listen to the recent ones where you actually like fairly good at ending it. And then one of the early ones you're like, I don't know how to finish this, so I'm just
the
gonna end the call.
Some people
Um,
might say that was part of my charm, though. Just keeping it real. But yes, that's a good observation. So, as a Christian, you believe in God, a specific God, and as a Christian, there's a book called the Bible. Now, I don't know exactly what's in the Bible, and I don't know that much about Christianity. I do wonder what you know about it in terms of suicide and what God or how God feels, in your opinion, about those that attempt and or complete suicide.
I think he looks at all of us with grace and compassion. And I think he recognizes the pain that we experience and the pain that drives people to attempt suicide. Some people might disagree with me, but I think it breaks his heart because it's the brokenness of the world that causes that pain. And it was never, that's not why he created humanity. It wasn't so that we can live in pain. It wasn't so that we can suffer. Like he's not sitting up there laughing at us in our suffering. He's
Mm.
sitting with us in it. One of the people in the Bible, Elijah, he was suicidal and God cared for him. He didn't tell him like snap out of it. He didn't tell him like, but you've got me. What more do you want? He took care of him. I hope I don't butcher the exact story, but basically he had angels provide him food and took him to an oasis so that he can have water and rest. Like he told him, here's some food, sleep, rest. That like there wasn't any rebuking. So I don't think that God gets mad at us when we feel suicidal or even attempt suicide. I think he gets sad.
I want to be really clear here, and it doesn't matter if you butchered it because the idea food, rest. What was the other one?
Water.
Water. And I think did you say did the angels and or God or some other person or entity were they there with him? Or was he alone? Do you know?
No, he was the angels were there with him.
What were the angels doing?
Believe if I remember correctly, they were protecting him. He's out in the wilderness, so it's like you never know what kind of dangers there are. Consoling him, like as well, like encouraging him, but not in a condescending, everything will be okay type comfort. It was just a recognizing the pain type of comfort.
So in a way, kind of like what your friend did for you when you got the news.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not calling your friend angelic per se. I just want to get back to, I don't want to simplify suicide, suicidality,
Mhm.
food, rest, water, angel-like encouragement and or what's the word? Not encouragement, just being there with somebody. All right. We're now
Yeah.
making the suicide rate go down from 10% to 20% worldwide. Try it. Push back. I'm right. When you said some people will disagree or push back on your thoughts on how God, Jesus, am I using those two words synonymously? I think I am. Is that
Yeah.
right?
It's the same. Yeah. Jesus
Um,
is God. So.
how he feels. You're damn right. They will. Some people will disagree. Yes, on
Yeah.
suicide for sure. So that's a given though. Elijah was suicidal. I got to read the Bible.
It's a really good book. Everything connects. It's pretty cool.
Digression here, but you speak Afrikaans, right?
Ons kon, maar ek weet nie of jy sy verstaan nie.
I am so glad that we decided to do this in English and not Afrikaans. Do you know the word for suicide in Afrikaans?
Selfmoord.
Sounds German, self-murder, obviously.
Yeah. Yep. That's exactly what it translates to. Self-murder.
Do you like the way does that land well with you?
No. But self-do it, which is self-dead, sounds even worse. Like I don't like it, but there's no real I've never come across a better alternative. But I mean I'd never talk about it in Afrikaans, so it kind of doesn't affect me in that sense.
I know that you said you were going to reach out and you did after listening to all of them, but That's not the real reason, I don't think. I mean, that's like a motivating factor or sort of a nice goal, but I'm assuming there's other, well, let me just ask the question. Are there other reasons why you wanted to talk with me and thereby have other humans hear this?
Yeah, I think my story is unique, being a high performing athlete. And I mean, I don't recall anyone else being international level athletes. I apologize if there was someone.
Oh, wait, have there been, I think I have talked to at least one or two people who are like very good junior high school basketball players, but that's probably about it. Yeah. No, you're topping the list on that shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, let's go, Olympic athletes. I'm here. I know you're struggling. We'll talk. Let's go. Go on. So that is truly unique. Anything else?
Yeah, it was also, I know hearing people's stories that where I can relate to parts of it, like made me feel a little bit less weird for feeling the way that I feel, especially if there's another person that, man, they've got everything going for them. They don't have childhood trauma, but they're still struggling. Sometimes I listen to the episodes and I'm like, man, I would definitely feel that way if I had gone through all of that. And I mean, I do feel that way, but I didn't go through all of that. So that was the other thing of like, yeah, just because everything looks good on the outside doesn't mean it has to feel good on the inside. And it doesn't mean that you're wrong for feeling that way on the inside. Yeah, that would be the two main reasons. Like, I think my
Yeah.
story is unique and I'd like to be able to have other people relate to certain parts the way that I relate to theirs.
Do you remember how old you were when you first started thinking about killing yourself? At least when you first started ideating. I was going to ask that earlier, but I forgot.
I think 14 or 15.
Okay.
It's like high school.
Yeah, we talked about that time, but I didn't ask that specific question.
Hmm.
I know you got field hockey people and coaches and family and coworkers, and if I had to guess, at least a handful of friends. How many people know that we're having this conversation right now?
What's your guess?
Zero.
You're right.
And you have a therapist, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so are you going to talk
technically two.
technically two therapists?
Uh, yeah, so the American one I still see.
Oh, the American one you Zoom?
Yeah, so but that's purely sports psychology now. Just because of ethics and can't cross continental lines in that sense. Purely sports psych stuff. And then the South African one, more like the mood stuff. Uh,
I like that you asked me to guess. A lot of people don't do that. Like that's fun for me. I don't want to always be asking the questions because people have questions that they want to ask me about, like, well, why'd you start the podcast? Like they're curious about my life a little bit, or why'd you start the
mm,
podcast? But like, I like the questions within the questions. So if I ask you a question like that, you're like, well, how many do you think I talked to? And you've heard the podcast. You know, I kind of get a lot of these right. I mean,
yeah, no, I
I
know.
have to brag a little bit. I'm not like, and then if I get it wrong, I just cut it out of the edited version and you never hear it. So I just make myself look awesome. Isn't that great technology?
Oh, you've had questions wrong in the past and you've left it in.
Yeah, of course. Of course. When I can self deprecate, I do. But I do that plenty, both on and off the podcast. So we don't have to do that too much. Question. Did you ever go to a mental health related hospital, psych unit facility in South Africa?
No,
Okay.
no, I'm super scared to do that.
Ah. How many people know about what happened in 2022? And maybe we could also include, because it sounded like there was one other incident where it got a little closer than usual with the meds. I think it was a year later when you were back home. Like, how many people know that Marlise has gotten pretty close to killing herself?
About the one in 2022, close to 10.
Does that include any of your teammates?
Yeah, there's two current, well, actually, no, I lie. They're both not current anymore. They're both retired. So selfish of them. Both had kids.
They're both
Really
retired with
now.
kids. They're probably like 31 years old.
The one is 31 this year, and the one is 34 this year.
But was I right again, though? Can we just keep saying it? Oh, come on, Marlise. Like I'm
It's
literally
not even big.
I'm proving it. I'm proving it. Of those 10 people or others, how many can you have a conversation in which you say some iteration or variation of, I am not doing well, I am thinking of ending my life, or I'm scared, or things are not good, or I have a plan, and you can have a conversation, or the space can feel at least a little bit like how Elijah felt with the angels, or how you felt back in 2022 with your, or 2024 when you learned about the fact that you didn't make the team, and just feel at least not worse during or after the conversation. How many people exist in the world for you like that?
Two, maybe three. I say maybe three because I'm not 100% certain how the one would react.
Gotta test it.
Yeah.
Gotta test it.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, there's two people that I want to say in theory could talk to. And the theory part comes from me not reaching out, not them not being willing.
Sure.
Because I have spoken to both of them in the past. So I know that they're chilled with it is the wrong way of saying it, but we're going to go with it because I can't think of a better word. Like I know they'll react in a helpful way, but the reaching out part is hard.
Yeah. You like your job.
Yeah, love it.
What's one thing you do to feel better that might sound unusual or uncommon, if anything? Like job and doing a sport and like that's, it's kind of standard stuff. Is there anything that's like a little out there?
Yeah, I think my coping strategies are pretty standard, like go to the gym, go run. Those are the healthy strategies, of course. Sometimes
Wow.
I'll play guitar, but I haven't done
Oh,
that
you
in a
do that
while.
too. Is there anything you don't do? She's also no, she's also probably, and she also probably toured with like the Eagles or something.
Oh, please. It was with the Bee Gees.
That's telling. Wow. Little guitar. I got a little sore spot for music. I got to learn an instrument. I've been trying forever. When I say try, I don't mean try. I just mean thinking about it.
You like the idea of trying?
I like the idea of not having to do the work to get good at it.
Okay, that
I,
makes sense.
if you want, so if you want to hear a clear distinction between why you're a world class athlete and I'm not, that's one among many, right there. Could not be more clear. I'm a quitter. Like this podcast is truly one of the few things in my life I haven't totally quit.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that
Like that's something to be super proud of.
I am very proud of it, but it's if people knew the backstory, and they do sometimes because I talk about it. Like this is not the norm. And this is not like truly. I am not a successful man. Well, this is a sign of this. This is the one exception. I would say
Okay,
this is the one
because I was
exception.
gonna say this is quite successful. I mean, I know there's still like a lot of things that you wanting to do and like a lot of other things on the horizon, but I would definitely call this success a success. Like it's been what 5.5 years,
Yeah,
nearly 6 years. Like
yeah,
that's a long time. That is successful.
yeah. And also, but imagine if I were able to do it while playing the guitar sometimes, as we talked. How fucking cool! Or piano. How good would that be?
It'll be
Because
so
it's
soothing, just like little dramatic piano in the background.
sometimes things. It's just never going to be enough, is it? You know what I'm saying? It's never going to be like what's one of my things, and it's very common. Like if you were the number one rated goaltender in the world, would that be enough? Would you be good?
I'd probably still think I'm not good enough.
Yeah, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
And you have God. Maybe that's actually not making it harder. I don't know.
No, it definitely makes it easier. Definitely has made it easier for me. I think in the times where I'm low, then it's something that I can hold on to. Also knowing that there are other people that are in the Bible that have felt this way and have gone
Really?
through really tough times. There's this passage of scripture where it talks about the comfort that God gives us and that in turn we are able to give that comfort to others. And that was actually a passage that I was like reading and rereading so much during that time where I found out that I wasn't going to the Olympics. I was just holding on to that comfort. It doesn't take away my suicidality. Like it doesn't take away the fact that I still feel suicidal. It doesn't take away the fact that like I get anxiety attacks. Like it doesn't take any of that away. It just makes it easier.
Yeah. Memoir title time. Now sometimes it's done. I got it. You have shared a lot, and I have greatly enjoyed this conversation. I do not have a title for you. So
Oh, Sean.
this is where this is a fail on my end. This is where I get cut and I don't make the team. But is there a title you had or have in mind? And if not a title, ideas, words, feelings, or thoughts that might lead us in that direction. We don't have to figure it out by the time we're done talking here. We've got time. There's some big shit you've done.
So I love puns and jokes. I was kind of thinking something along the lines of no strings attached.
So you were thinking about it before we even
Uh,
talked.
Obviously, I'd been listening to your podcast for a year now, like for how long now? Like, I knew this
Oh, of
question was going to come. There's
course it
no
was.
way you can listen to the podcast and not think of that.
I think it's probably people that don't think that way, but most do. No strings attached. Okay. Now, certainly needs a subtitle.
Yes, that
TBD.
part I was hoping you could help me with.
It's going to take a little time. The subtitle is Arguably more important.
That's a hard. And
No
it's a hard one.
strings attached. All right, I like it. All right, no strings attached. Myths and misconceptions. Marlise, memoir, just the M word again. Massachusetts, myths and or misconceptions that you want to call bullshit on.
I think a big one for me is just because you're Christian doesn't mean that you don't struggle.
Mm.
And you're not a failure as a Christian if you struggle with mental health. There's nowhere in the Bible that it says if you have more faith, you won't struggle. Like, no, Jesus literally tells us in this world you will have trouble. He literally tells you that. Yeah, just because you believe in God doesn't mean that your problems suddenly go away, but also doesn't make you a failure.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't mean that you're not loved. And it doesn't mean that you're a bad Christian. It just means that you're human and that you're living in a fallen world.
Seems like a lot of people get that wrong, man.
Yeah.
Especially in the States. I'm sorry. I'm not, and I just, the whole American Christian nationalism thing is making me fucking, we're not going to
No,
do
we
that.
don't need to go there.
We don't need to go there. Now, everything's political. All right, 3 more questions. Here we go. You know one of them, you do not know the other 2.
Ooh, okay. Hit me.
You want me to start with the one you know or the other ones?
Let's go unknown, known, unknown. Sandwich it.
Unknown
Okay.
number 1 is a loaded question. And that is, it's not loaded. In 2 years' time, more or less, it'll be the LA Olympics.
Yeah.
I hope you're on the team, but either way, will you do an update episode with me?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely do.
If you're alive. No, that's, most people say yes. Most people end up not doing it. Go look on the podcast. You'll see out of all the guests, how many updated them. So there's all kinds of reasons why. I'm saying that because if you say yes, then maybe you're more likely to do it. But the twist is, you're going to be pissed at me. Even though I know you're going to be kind of busy in LA. I mean, I don't know, like playing on an Olympic level at the Olympics, we got to do it in LA. You got to be in LA. You got to carve out an hour in LA to do it with me.
If our schedule permits it, then heck yeah, that'd be
If your
epic.
schedule permits it, and you could probably do it right from your phone. Like you'd be walking.
Yeah.
You could literally be like in goal. I'm not saying you're like playing Australia for the bronze medal and talking with me, but like, like there's a break at practice. That would be kind of cool. Okay. I mean, if I'm alive and you're alive, done deal.
Let's do it.
The known question, you know it. Have you been paying attention enough to know what it is?
Think of Google poll.
Yes, it is. So, for the sake of my listeners, if they have not heard this before, if I give Marlise this pink and purple pill, by the way, some people continue to think it's 2 pills just because it's 2 colors. Can't explain that. I don't know if it's a tablet or a capsule. In my mind, I've never actually thought about it. If I give Marlise this pill and she takes it, she goes to sleep. There's no pain. She doesn't wake up, and nobody knows it's a suicide. Today, what would you do with that pill?
This is the one where I honestly I don't know. I think if we had this conversation end of last year, I would have said I'd take it. But my uncle passed away on the 3rd of January this year, and seeing the way that it broke my dad specifically, because that's so fresh in my memory, I don't think I could do that to my parents. So I think I'd keep it.
Oh, okay. So not throw it away. You keep it.
No, I'd keep it.
Did your uncle die of suicide?
No, he had a massive stroke. So I guess that would be a caveat that I'd put to the poll. There would be a cause. It would look like there is a cause, but it's a vital cause. So that it's not just like a mystery that like it looks like a heart attack. Or...
This maintains the integrity of the question. So what you're saying is nobody knows it's a suicide, but it would say heart attack or stroke.
Yes.
And
yes.
that would be acceptable for you to save the pill.
Yes.
Even though knowing that if you had it in the past, you might have used it and we wouldn't be here today.
Yeah.
Interestingly, I think it's only in the last several months, and you might be able to speak to this more than I because I don't listen back much. I always used to ask the question, which I think started in like 2023. Oh my God, Marlise, if you can tell me the episode it started, I would be so grateful because I can't remember and I can't fucking find it. I think it's in the fall of 2023. Anyway, I always used to just ask, what would you do with it right now? I don't know, at some point this year, I started saying, what about back then? And that's when it gets interesting, right? Why would you save it?
The thing that pushed me over the edge in 2022 wasn't the fact that it was bad and knowing, like I knew it was going to get better. but I also knew it was going to get worse. And it's that waiting for it to get worse that's
Mhm.
actually the worst part. If I had to go through another cycle like that of being that deep in it, knowing that it might come again, I don't think I could go through it. Like, I think I'd take it then. But I'm
What's the
optimistic that I won't hit that low again.
Yeah. And you are doing some stuff to try to prevent that from happening. The final question is the unknown question, but this is just a follow question to that. So it doesn't count.
Okay.
Were you ever throughout all of this angry with God?
Yeah. Like take out the hockey, take out the non-selection. Like there were still moments where I'm like, I don't understand why you're putting me through this. Why is this my cross to bear?
Hmm.
Why does anyone have to bear this? And there's no answer that I have for that.
I
Like,
wanted to know if
I,
you had found some answer.
no, like that's also okay. Like the thing that I've learned is God isn't scared of our questions or our doubts or our fears. Like he's bigger than all of that. So it's not, I don't have to feel ashamed for doubting or for being angry. Like if you read the psalmists are also angry at times. They also like that's pure raw emotion in the Psalms. So why can't we have pure raw emotion? There's nothing stopping us from acknowledging that. And I think that's part of having any sort of relationship is having that openness and honesty of like, hey, this is how I'm feeling right now. The way what you did here made me feel this way. Like that's part of a relationship. So yeah,
Hmm.
definitely there's been times where I've been angry at God.
You know how people talk about vulnerability a lot these days? And like, so some people would be like, it's just so vulnerable. No, I'm not here to judge anybody. But like, if you feels like you're saying something's vulnerable or feels vulnerable, then it is. Some people can easily and casually talk about their own suicide attempt, but other things that feel much less big are harder for them. Right?
Mm,
Everybody's got their own thing. My final question, it has nothing to do with suicide. It has nothing to do with you. Here's the question, and I need, and this goes without saying, I need an honest answer. If you were to see me last week, you would have seen how I almost always look, which is a shaved head, beard, the whole beard, mustache, 3-day growth thing. Yesterday, for some reason, as I was doing it, I just decided, no, hang on. A few days ago, I just decided I'm going to leave the mustache and goatee. Yesterday, I chose to get rid of this. And I just went with the mustache. Before I asked, and it's another, see, M is the operative letter here with us today. Before I ask the question, you know what the fucking question, you know what the question is. Generally speaking, I think mustaches are gross. I think more than 90% of men that have them look weird. I think they either look like they're serial killers or they're straight men that are probably not straight. I'm just speaking truth. I just need you to say, or maybe even motion with a thumbs up or thumbs down. Should I keep this thing or not? Did it be, but just, yeah, okay, that's it. That's it.
but it's not because of any of the reasons that you said. I
Oh,
think if
what?
it's a little bit shorter,
Mhm.
like if it doesn't go all the way down here, but
Yeah.
more like just in line with the lip, I think then
Okay.
yes.
Oh, okay. So, like, not the wife beater look.
Yes. There we go.
Okay. 'Cause somebody else
So
said the same thing. Okay. Okay. I'm pretty sure even
'cause
so, obviously, Marley's put the thumbs down. I think 98+% of the human population would agree. I still think even with it shaved in line with the lip, it's got to go.
yeah,
It's a midlife identity thing, Marlise. You wouldn't understand. Do you it's what is it? I'm guessing 6:46 there, is that right?
8:46.
8:46, you're 8 hours ahead.
Yeah.
8:30 on a Tuesday. So what's the rest of your evening like before I assume you go to bed, wake up and go back to your job that you like?
And I'm basically going to shower, pack my food, and go to bed. I have my
Yeah.
whole routine in the morning. So
Of course, no,
yeah.
100%. Of course. I know who I'm talking to. I know your resume, man. I know it happens before most people start. The sun's even up. Most people are sleeping. Marlise is out there doing those things, prepping for LA in 2028, going to a job you like. I should ask, is there anything else that you want to share?
No, I think you've asked everything. Yeah, this is a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. There's one question you didn't ask that I thought you were going to ask.
I don't always ask all of them, but tell me.
Well, the two, am I going to listen to it and am I going to share it with anyone?
Oh my God. Do you know what's so funny that you say that? For some reason, I do tend to not ask that. I do sometimes forget. It pisses me off when I'm editing and I've forgotten. Thank you for doing my job for me. This will come out in a few months, probably more or less. Here's my guess. I absolutely think you're going to listen to it.
Yeah. I can't not listen to one episode. Like it's gonna
Right.
ruin my streak.
So I am correct. You will listen to it. And as far as will you let others actively know, because it's probably unlikely they'll find it on their own. Will you let anyone know? And I'm going to say one, maybe two people.
Yeah.
You cannot be serious that I did it again.
I think this is why I'm so good at memoir titles, because you read people like a book.
Who's the one that's a definite?
My one teammate, she's actually a big reason why I started seeing the sports psychologist to begin with. And also a big reason why I opened up to her about like my suicidal thoughts at all. Because when I first started seeing the therapist, it was purely sports psychology stuff.
Right.
I wanted to work on like consistency and that sort of thing. Yeah, this friend at training the one day, she saw I was off and she asked me about it, and she didn't just accept no for an answer. So she prodded, but not in a like irritating, like, oh my gosh, just leave me alone kind of way. It was like I can see something's wrong. I can see you're lying to me. What's up?
There's a lot of important people in your life, but I think, can we say her name?
Celia.
Shout out to Celia. Good work. And we don't need to say the maybe person because that gets weird. Well, this was awesome. Thanks for talking.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. Really enjoyed it. Really appreciate everything you do, and yeah, really grateful for it.
Of course. And who knows if or how or when our paths will cross again, but we promised LA or not. Ideally LA in 2028, but no guarantee you're making the team. I think you will. But still, again, a conversation in the future for sure, okay?
Yeah, no, that'd be awesome.
Enjoy your sleep, enjoy your day, and thanks for talking.
Thanks. Have a good day. Cheers.
Bye. As always, thanks so much for listening and all of your support. Special thanks to Marlise in South Africa. Thank you, Marlise. If you are a suicide attempt survivor or ideator and you'd like to talk, please reach out. hello@suicidenoted.com. You can learn more about this podcast at suicidenoted.com. That includes being a guest here on the podcast. Perhaps you're interested or curious about speaking engagements or licensing or whatever else. Check it out there. Reach out to me. I'm available. Thank you so much. And that is all for this week's episode. Stay strong. Do the best you can. I'll talk to you soon.